Hi, I'm Jim, W6LG, your YouTube Elmer for Ham Radio Basics. Welcome to my radio room here in Rockland, California. A couple of weeks ago, I received a nice email comment on a video from Rick Villa, and it was a video I'd done some time back about linear amplifiers. And if I can bring Rick's comment up on the screen, I'll do that right after this.
Calling CQ, hello CQ. CQ calling CQ, hello CQ. Whiskey 6 Lima Golf. Whiskey 6 Lima Golf.
Rick wrote, again, about 3 weeks ago, I've never owned a solid-state amplifier. Tubes take a while to tune, but they work great. Old school, I guess. Got to be real careful at 1800 to 2500 volts DC, though. Yes, for sure. Now, Rick and I continued to correspond, and I got a subsequent message from him, and it says, I had an experience, but at a much lower voltage. When I was 13, I got across 120 volts AC and was frozen across it, paralyzed. He goes on to say his mother heard the noise and she really came in and rescued him. It's my understanding that AC locks you in place, and DC will throw you across the room. So let me tell you my little story of what happened to me, and this is the main reason for the video, and I've been meaning to do this story a number of times. And here's what happened. It was mid-1960s. I was a high school student, and I was building a linear amplifier. It was in a cabinet that was not quite 36 inches tall, and it was about 20 inches by 20 inches. And inside was a homemade amplifier using a 41000 tube and about 3 kV. I couldn't afford a plate voltage meter, so what I'd done was to hook up 2 wires to the power supply, ran them to the top of the amplifier onto a Simpson 260 VOM, which was sitting on the top. One of the banana plugs had come off of the test lead wire, and what I did was I took the stranded wires and jammed them into the banana jack on the top of the Simpson 260. So I was keying the amplifier with my left hand. I had a microphone, a Shure 414, and I would key it, and I was looking at the meter and looking at the tube inside the amplifier. It was daylight, and I can't tell you what month it was, but the sun was up, and as I was doing the test, this hand got across the bare wires. It was at least an hour later that I woke up across the room, up against a wall. And when I came to, my left arm weighed a lot. I couldn't move it. It was paralyzed. It was numb, and I had burn marks in the baby finger of my left hand. In fact, the scars are still there. So it didn't hurt because it was numb, and over time the sensation came back to my arm as I attempted to move it. And again, I was just holding this left arm because it was numb. And you can imagine, as a high school student, what kinds of things I was thinking about. In those days, 911 didn't exist, and I didn't call for help. I was home alone and really afraid to do anything. A little while later, I noticed that there was the strong smell of burnt flesh, and the path of the DC voltage had gone from this finger through my arm and through my jeans, where I was leaning up against the corner of the cabinet, burned a hole about that big around through my jeans, and burned the skin. It looked like a torch had been up against it, and it melted the cotton fibers, the blue jean fibers, to my skin. And I didn't notice that because it was numb, and it was numb for a very long time. So I was able to pull off my jeans, but I had to pull the threads of the cotton out of my skin. Moral of the story, be exceptionally careful around any kind of voltage. Rick points out 120 volts AC darn near killed him. There's a story of a ham in Texas somewhere who got across a similar thing, relatively low voltage, but AC was locked in place. His wife came in to rescue him. She also died. So if you're working with DC voltages, as a couple of my close friends are right at the moment, one local guy is fixing an amplifier that he bought from a retailer that had some defects in it. And a friend of mine on the East Coast was repairing, or is repairing, an amplifier that also has had some defects. At those kind of voltages, you generally don't get a second chance. I only did because I was young, I think. And if it had happened later in life, or if it happened today, I certainly wouldn't survive. Don't work on stuff don't have the high voltage on, and work on the equipment. There's no reason to do that. Turn it off, pull the AC cord, discharge the capacitors. Remember, they can hold voltage for a long time, especially if a bleeder resistor has gone bad. Don't cheat the interlocks, and don't remove the pin from the plug, as one guy suggests in his YouTube videos. It was my first brush with death, and I've had 2 more since then, so I have got my 3 strikes, and there's not going to be a 4th. There can't be a 4th. So if you have any questions or comments, please post them below. I would very much appreciate a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and a subscription if you haven't subscribed. If you've had a similar experience, I'd like to hear from you. It's a lesson for all of us to learn to be really careful. In the last week, I've gotten my amplifiers going here in the radio room, and I have been very, very careful about doing all of that. 7-3 for now. I'm Jim, W6LG, your YouTube Elmer for Ham Radio Basics. Thanks for watching. See you the next time. Bye.